Amin Bojo, Ajay Kijik, Nepal's Chimising Donjaba, Mukwadodo. Good evening, everyone. My name is PJ Sandy. My spirit name is Cloud on the Sky. Krishnandan is my home and residence, and I am from the Bear Plain. I'm the youngest daughter of Gamal Paul Sandy Bach and Susan Sandy. Between my natural parents and my adopted parents, Alice and Lily Armstrong of Nipissing First Nation, I have 7 siblings who I'm incredibly close with. I am an auntie to many nieces and nephews. I'm a mama to 3 beautiful children who I co-parent along with their parents. I want to acknowledge and extend gratitude to my nominators, Clayton Samuel King and Trevor Reed, as well as thank all those who have reached out to me to give their support. I am truly honored to be given the opportunity to sit as a council member for the upcoming term. Public service is a role I hold in high esteem. I have always held our community and our people close to my heart, not only within the last 15 years of my professional career with BFN, but for the entirety of my life. I was raised to believe we use our gifts to give back to others, use our privileges to reach back and give someone else a hand. That just because we may have suffered or struggled in our life, it doesn't mean that others must as well. My love and dedication for our community has never wavered. Everything I've worked on over the years and continue to work on has always been tied to serving our community, our people, and our First Nation as a whole. Whether in public or behind the scenes, day to day, I have always dedicated myself to our people, having held the belief that community comes second only to family. Over my life, I have worked and volunteered in various levels and areas of public administration. I have over 15 years of direct management and administration experience in community, municipal, provincial, and federal arenas. My educational background includes Indigenous studies, community development, social service administration, emergency and crisis management, and most recently, public administration and governance. I've sat on numerous committees, working groups within and outside of the community. I served as a trustee on the Simcoe County District School Board for the previous 4 years, and was also part of the working group that wrote our child well-being law with the Anishinaabe Nation. In my career, I have expanded our social services department from a staff of 3 people during the year, delivering services under 2 programs, social assistance and child family services, to the multi-branch service provider as today with 16 plus full-time staff and growing, overseeing annual budgets into the millions and delivering near a dozen programs throughout the year. We have recently submitted a proposal of about 3 million to further expand our services. We have grown from Ontario Works Child and Family Services to now including programs such as family well-being, community well-being and justice, employment experience, transitional support, prevention services, bandwidth services, youth services, and alternative care home, funeral benefits and coverage, to name a few. In my early years, I initiated and transitioned our social assistance program into full delivery Ontario Works, providing both financial and employment services. Within the first cycle of implementation, we quickly became a leader in service delivery of First Nations in Ontario and have been top performers in our program audits. Due to the successful implementation and unique approaches to services and supports, I was invited to be a presenter at provincial forums to share our work. Our team was highlighted several times over the course of our introductory years. The work being done and the approach I had to services and support helped instigate change at a provincial level, and policies and procedures were revised to allow the First Nations to have more control and autonomy in their service delivery due to the continued success and surpassing of our goals for measurable outcomes. Over the years, I've had many successes, overcome many barriers to meet our goals and objectives, and have never had to request own source revenue to top up our program budgets in order to achieve our mandates. I was able to find loopholes in government legislation and funding policies that allowed me to retain 120 grand surplus in our first 3-year cycle of a full delivery of Ontario Works. As you know, the government is not fond of letting you keep funds that are left over at the end of the year. However, I was able to utilize the loopholes found and the funds stayed with us. And following a meeting regarding the surplus and finding everything was above board, they promptly reviewed their policies and made sure it didn't happen again. But guess what? I did it again. In another program, I found a loophole and I utilized it successfully to our benefit. And that is where the new social services building addition and renovations came from. A building that is fully accessible, not just certain areas or spaces, but the entire building, because the community must be inclusive to all its members. Of all the successes and achievements in my professional career, I'm most proud of the teams that I have brought together to do the work needed in order to develop and implement programs and services to meet the growing and ever-changing needs of the community. I have mentored, trained, guided, and pushed my staff to be their best, not only in the delivery of services and quality of work, but as individuals who serve this community. They have made it possible to respond to many crises, and they didn't question when I asked them to help lead us through the pandemic by ensuring we had access to food and supplies at all times. They have worked and maintained on-site services for our department throughout the entire pandemic. I've supported them in maintaining higher levels of education, spent many late nights talking them through the times when they wanted to quit or didn't think they had it in them. I've led by example to encourage them to continually work on themselves and believe in their abilities and to become the most healed, authentic versions of themselves. Then I challenge them to do the same for someone else in the department, organization, or community. My motto is to lead with compassionate accountability, to not only look at our community from a deficit-based perspective, but to look for the strengths we can build on and find ways to increase our capacity. If you wish to contact anyone I've worked with, mentored, and managed, they can provide many examples of how I've led over the years and what impact I've had in their lives. They can also tell you how I've advocated tirelessly for better services, programs, and accountability and responsibility to our people. They can even attest that I've never put myself before them. I've planned and budgeted to ensure they would get salary increases, and I've never budgeted my own salary at a rate far above their own. As a director and everyday leader, I believe that if you take care of your people, they will take care of you. I was recently gifted this beautiful fan here, and it means so much to me because the meaning behind it is tied directly to my love for the community. It is made of geese feathers, and the teachings of the geese are our community. They thrive because they take care of each other and work together to ensure they all make it together in this world. They are the only birds that fly as high as the eagle, but they are common, and as such carry the teachings of humility. Humility, I think, is the most underrated of the grandfather teachings. I have always stood up for your rights, fought for better protection of your information and privacy, and have maintained excellent quality control and management of personal conflicts to maintain the integrity within our department. I stood up against council many times when I believed they were overstepping boundaries or blurring lines of authority, and I can assure you I will continue to do the same going forward. I may be small, I may be soft-spoken and often talk quiet, but I don't back down when it comes to protecting our people. Although many of you might not know me personally or have even heard of me, nor familiar with the work I've done over the years, I don't see that as a negative, because I believe the best and most effective leaders who are truly in it because they love the work they do and believe in what they're doing makes a difference are the ones who are able to motivate and orchestrate effectively behind the scenes when the people barely know they're there. And when the success is achieved, the work is done, they look and they say, we did it ourselves. So even if you don't know my name or my face, you might know my voice, as I've answered many of your calls from membership across Turtle Island. And in order to provide support and guidance in whatever situation or crisis you or a family member has faced in my years of service. I've never let the limitations of our programs and policies stop me from finding a way to help our members as best I can. To close, I would like to tell you that I believe a leader's role is to take care of their people. It's not about having power or gaining recognition. We are not here to sit or stand above others. Leaders at their core are but servants by another name. Our job is to serve our people and community. We're not here to serve ourselves. The power we have is one of authority. It is entrusted in us, borrowed during our time here, and hopefully earned well by those who give it to us. My priority is to ensure our people are being heard, valued, included, and respected as investors, shareholders, and stewards of this community, because community is only as strong as our foundation, and our people are our foundation. We are given the authority to make decisions in the best interests of our people. And if you're wondering what my superpower is as a leader, it is empowering others to become leaders. Leading with compassion and bringing people together to serve the greater good. If you're wondering who actually holds the power in a community, it is the people. It is our people who have the power to the people.